Well, good morning. It's the next YouTube video from Intergence. So, hi, I'm Peter Jobe. I'm the CEO and founder of Intergence. And today we're going to talk about top practices for building data visualizations. And today I've got Anthony Osborne with us, who's head of data visualization at Intergence. Welcome, Anthony. I think we're going to talk today about some really cool things that we're doing with Stratium, but particularly on data visualization in general. So the first thing I want to really ask you is, how do you keep those designs simple? And it might be worth you giving a bit of background on some of the things you're doing at the moment with regards to Stratium as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Peter. So the key to good data visualization is communicating insights from what's in your underlying data, and a really powerful way to do that is to make the data engaging. So data isn't naturally engaging, it's quite dry, it's quite dull, but there's lots of things you can do in data visualization to bring that to life a bit more. So you can add interactivity, maybe with sliders or date range filters. You can make your KPIs stand out by maybe putting them alongside relevant iconography. Colours, very powerful way to show whether something's good or bad or performing on track type thing. So there's a whole bunch of tricks. There's a big science to data visualization. There's also kind of an artistic side to it as well.
Yeah, and the other point you made, which is a great one, is that actually a lot of the work we do has got multiple data points, so many data points, aren't there? So what we're trying to do here is to make our managed service offerings that we provide many clients, different types of clients, all different sizes, many where security is quite important as well, but there's almost too much data, isn't it, in many respects?
Yeah, so we're overloaded with data at the moment. We've got data coming from the whole plethora of different kind of sources and stuff. One of the things with data visualization and dashboard design is to think about who your end users are, how they might act on that data, what's important to them, what are those kind of killer metrics, what are the real kind of things that would pull and change levers and stuff, and make sure that those metrics surface to the top, so you kind of leave the noise behind but separate the signal out.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point as well, because actually if you think about it, a lot of the kind of out-of-the-box visualization tools that you get will just basically, that's as it is, isn't it? Whereas what we're doing is we're doing it from the other way around. So we're saying, actually, what do you need? And then we can provide basically what the customer wants, rather than just saying, you've got to have it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Anthony, if I came to you and said I really need to build a data dashboard because I've got all these different data feeds, could you give some tips or a real key tip on how you could start doing that? What would be the key thing to look at?
Okay, so I think the main thing is to make the data approachable and engaging, but also you've got to think like the user. So you've always got to think about what they might be making a decision around, what is the kind of key performance indicator for how their business is doing. So we use that as a start point, and those might be the kind of KPIs that you'd see at the top of the dashboard. That hard for the eye to miss would maybe do related iconography, showing what that kind of KPI relates to. We'd also show some context as well, so we might have a color or a state change if that metric was below a threshold or above a kind of a warning signal. Then we'd kind of group the dashboard around other themes. So there might be a timeline trend related to a metric, so we'd have a trend chart. We might have a composition type metric, so with a pie chart or an area dashboard. And we'd have interactivity throughout that dashboard, so there might be date range sliders, or there might be other kind of filters on the dashboard, so the user could kind of interact with and play with their data in a lot easier way than might be via the kind of raw data sources themselves.
So is it fair to say that if we were to come in, we'd do a kind of a discovery piece to actually understand what the customer would be the most important things to look at first? Is that fair to say, would you say?
Absolutely. So we'd always try and walk in the customer's shoes, understand what their pain points are, maybe try and understand what data they'd like to see, because sometimes people have this idea of a kind of KPI that they really want that isn't in their existing data. So it's understanding what their known data is, but also kind of getting them to test the unknown a little bit, seeing what the kind of the nirvana could be for their data flows.
And in your view, who should be using these dashboards? Give me a sort of view on who should be the kind of owners of the dashboard, or can you have multiple dashboards?
Multiple. So the dashboard is kind of designed for a user or group of users, but everyone really. So they will build senior management dashboards that kind of at the C-level, CIO, CTO, to see how their organisation's performing in an entirety. But then we also do management level dashboards where you might want to see how parts of an organisation or part of a data tree is performing for kind of at a manager level, and then there's kind of user dashboards as well. So we've built some examples of this on our proprietary software called Stratium, where we've got kind of user level dashboards, management ones, and C-level views as well.
And if you were actually starting a real program from scratch, what would be the sort of the key types of products you really look at? Because I think we did that, didn't we? When we were looking at Stratium, we looked at a number of different products and also the cloud platform to run it on as well.
So in terms of, do you mean other kind of BI products, or do you mean products for data connectivity?
Yeah.
So the whole BI space is a very crowded area. So you can obviously use tools such as Looker, Tableau, Power BI, all those kind of things. Those enterprise tools are very good and they work kind of off the shelf, but they're not going to do anything from day one. So
so there's quite a lot of customization.
A lot of customization. Yeah. You will need somebody with business analytics experience or BI experience to get that working with your data sources. The tool, I always say, it's not about the tool, it's all about how you work with the data. So in some ways you could make do with no tooling, but have the right methodology behind your approach to getting your insights from the data.
Yeah, so Integers have built their own tool called Stratium, which many of you know about already. But if you're actually looking at some of the things behind Stratium, what would you say are the real key things, particularly from a security point of view, Anthony, that you'd be looking to if you were starting this from scratch?
Yeah, so if you're looking to build your own data dashboards for IT or security type data, the main challenges you'd be facing straight off the bat would be doing the kind of data pipelines, your data engineering, getting all that data into a consistent format, into a kind of data lake from which you can then kind of visualize and see what's going on there. So what we've done with Stratium is we've built these API connectors that go straight into the individual data sources. They pipe the data effectively through into a data lake where we get that into kind of nicely formatted, curated data that's ready to then be visualized in dashboards and so on and so forth. Easier said than done. There's a lot of complexities to doing that, to write into those APIs. And being security data, we have to be very mindful of the security around that whole piece that we're doing. So everything is under multi-factor authentication. We've got all the kind of security layers in place for the actual data that we're working with.
So I think, in summary, what you're saying there is effectively we're doing the hard, heavy lifting work in terms of the API connections. The data lake behind it is something we take care of or could take care of. But the real clever bit is the dashboards and the APIs. So that's the bit that really we can help clients with.
Oh, absolutely. So there's huge value in all the API connectors that we've done. I think when we first started doing this about 3 years ago, it was taking us maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe longer, to write the right kind of connectors to those APIs for a single API. Now we can do a single API in less than a day. So it's we've got a published list of all of our API connectors in the security space. We've got over 30, I think. But if there's new security connectors that people wish to connect to, other customers, other clients, we can build connectors for those in less than a day. So, I mean,
even implementation, how long do you think that would take roughly with a new client?
There's as we've touched on before, there's probably a stage of understanding what data is important for the client, how their dashboard should look, how their view should look, working out what data sources they've got, and then we're talking a few days work to connect to their individual data sources and then building that kind of bespoke view of how things are performing for their organisation.
Yeah.
So with what we've done with Stratium, we've got kind of bespoke dashboards where our clients said it's really important to me to have these metrics here and this chart and this trend line here and so on and so forth. But we've also built some off-the-shelf dashboards where we think this is the best way to see how your WAN security is working, or this is the best way to see how networking is performing or network monitoring is performing. So we've got a combination of bespoke and off-the-shelf dashboards.